I've been coming to you guys for the last couple of days. Hopefully, we're going to get a lot of traction and be doing this for a couple of weeks. And the idea is this: there's so many entrepreneurs out there, people that have started a business, run a business, manage a business, have a great idea for a business, and are doing these things in our everyday backyard. And so there's some incredible stories out there of these people, then things they've overcome, the way that they viewed their business, the way that they are able to share their passion with everybody else and make a living at it. And it's super exciting because part of the reason I want to do this is because there's so many people out there that have an idea, that want to try something and are just afraid to. And so by bringing these stories to you, my hope is, one, that we're flooding the internet with all kinds of great stories and great information, but two, that we're also giving everybody inspiration to say, wow, I could do that, particularly in this time that's, we're sitting at home trying to figure out what we can do. And we're doing, calisthenics and marathons in our backyard, which is really kind of cool. So to pull us away a little bit from the Netflix and the brownies, today I have the immense pleasure to introduce you to a lady I've gotten to know really well over the last maybe year and a half, 2 years. Her story is incredible because she has such an incredible spirit. She puts her spirit into everything she touches, and it just exudes all that energy. And I just can't wait for you to meet her. So today I have an immense pleasure to interview Carol Davis, my friend who owns Your Journey Studios, and she does photography, but she brings that stuff to life. So Carol, tell us a little bit about you, your backstory, how you got to where you are right now, and give us a little information on you. We want to know who you are.
Okay. Well, good morning, and thanks for having me, including me in your interviews that you've been doing. So, a backstory on me is I've loved photography for basically my entire life, it seems, at least since seventh grade. And it was something that I had always wanted to be able to do. And life sometimes gets in the way of things, and that dream was put on hold for quite some time while I went to work for the civil service or as a civil service employee, and raised children and just live life. And time goes by so very quickly, and I had a pivotal moment in my life and decided that the best thing to do is what you love, and that is photography. And so, probably about 10 years, yes, I made the decision to start it even more so professionally. So, Tom and I have had the studio. It's a home-based studio here in St. Mary's, and we've been following, what we set out to do a long time ago, and that's capture beautiful portraits of people and be able to get out and capture memories and preserve life, basically.
Gosh, I love that. And one thing I want you to share with everybody is not, you said you had a home-based studio. I have been fortunate enough to come out to your house, and I want you to share, like, walk us through. When you say home-based studio, most people think, oh, you go into a room over the garage, you've created a studio, but your whole house and your yard and gardens is your studio. And I want you to just walk us through that a little bit. I mean, bring that to life for us, because to see that in person is absolutely incredible. But more importantly, I mean, obviously everybody can't do that. And maybe that's something that would be a really good follow up for us. But, just walk us through that a little bit, why you did that and what it looks like and how you have different things set up, and explain that a little bit, because this is all speaking to that passion and that spirit.
Gotcha. So when a client comes to our home business, they literally come to the above our garage, which our garage was added on so that we could do this. It is a full-fledged studio. We could literally have dance classes in this studio. It's so large. It's about 12 to 1,500 square feet, bamboo floors, with beautiful light that's coming in. And when you come into the studio, you have a full-fledged dressing room. We have a full prop room. We have lighting like you wouldn't believe. That's just the studio side of thing, with many backdrops and so on and so forth. Now, going outside, that's a completely different story. We have different vignettes set up, and in the yard, there's probably anywhere from 30 to 40 different locations where we can go in the yard and have a different background. Everything from large tires that we've gotten from local farmers that have come off of their equipment for the guys so that they can have that masculine look. We have a little French cafe set up. We have different trees and different things blooming at all times of the year. We have a back porch that makes it feel like you're in a completely different place. So if it ends up being poor weather or that sort of thing, and you still want that feeling of being outside, we go to the porch. We have a beach scene. We have barns that you have as a backdrop. It's just endless, and that's just in our yard. If we needed to, we always pack up our studio and we can go to the local beach. We have access to 2 private beaches. Public piers are all around us. They're really within a 5-minute drive. So it's endless what we can do as far as your scenery and your backgrounds and even your lighting, and just the variety is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I truly think that on a follow up to this, it would be phenomenal to go through. I mean, when I went out to Carol's house, we were just getting together for something completely different, and she walked me through her yard, and it's just, and her yard. You hear all this, you think, oh my gosh, she must live on a big farm, and she doesn't. It's a small, not a small piece of property, but from what that sounds like, you would think that there are buildings and out stuff, and there's not. She's just very methodically created these amazing little areas that are just, I mean, just bloom in your photos. So it's just incredible how creative she's been with things that she's found and made things. And been, I remember when I was there, the farm next to you was doing those big, huge hay bales. I don't know what they're called, but the big round ones. And you said, well, I'm going to see if I can get one of those if they have an extra, because I could use that in film. And she's just constantly creating. And I just really wanted to share that spirit with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool when they had the hay bales in the back, because I just walked, in the back field and said, "Hey, can you just drop one of those in the backyard?" And he's like, "Sure." So, that's part of the experience, is just having something that's different. And we have barn fencing, where a barn went down locally, and so we made our privacy fence out of that barn. So it's like we have a barn in the yard. So just a lot of different things.
So here's one of the things I love. So when you talk to a photographer, everybody has different, ways of doing things, but Carol just explained to you exactly what they're about, which is the experience. So, it's not just about making you the most beautiful look in that photo, but it's the experience that surrounds your photo that is what's so creative about Carol and her studio. So here's another piece I wanted to share with you guys. Carol, tell them about your Santa experience, because that is something that I've just never seen before, and it is just incredible.
Oh, the Santa experience. I actually have the book beside me. Is it all right to share?
Absolutely, of course. So tell us what
So
this
our
is,
Santa
how it came to
experience.
be. What
Okay.
made you decide to do this? Like, what is this and why did you do it?
So our Santa experience is an experience like none other. Nothing like the mall, or having or taking your child and just plopping them on Santa's lap and having them start screaming and crying and traumatizing them, basically. Our Santa experience is either a half hour or an hour long, and the child has the opportunity to come in and meet Santa one to one and interact with him. It is truly an experience. Santa shares cookies and milk. He shows them magic dust. He shows them the nice list. And of course, it's written in the alphabet. So the child, cannot find their name because it's in a different language. But he explains that to them. And it's just an over for the child. The child, if they're afraid at first, we give them plenty of time to warn us, so it's not a forced thing, and it's
Mhm.
really not traumatic. The experience itself, just to give you an idea of what it looks like, this is the box that the book comes in, and it's truly a white glove experience where when they have the book, it comes with the white gloves. But just to give you an idea of what that looks like, let me get it right there. So Santa's playing and doing bubbles with the child. You know, when we do the book, there's a story that's written for the child with their name and included in. It really is a just a top-notch, top-level experience.
And those photos actually look like Norman Rockwell photos. I've seen these in person and my gosh, guys, these are just incredible. Even to the point that you said to me at one point that if the child absolutely could not sit with Santa, they really just were too afraid of that of doing that, that you could actually make it so that they still got a picture with Santa, but by your a means of being able to insert them with Santa.
So what happens, and we've only had it happen a couple of times, but if it does, we do have a way where that parent is still going to get that heirloom portrait. What we do is we have Santa go to the other room because he has to check his email. And so he's completely out of the scene, and that removes a lot of the fear from the child. And
Mhm.
then we'll have the child come into the set and they sit where they would regularly sit. We have mom or dad come in and sit where Santa would sit. And they go through all of the same motions of the milk and cookies or the bubbles or the magic dust and we're still getting those expressions and those smiles and those moments. And then we let them go and they're not traumatized. And then immediately we have Santa come back and he sits down in that same location where mom or dad were sitting and he goes through the same motions again of the different scenarios that we did with the child. And then I'm able to composite those two images together. And you would never know that that child was not literally sitting there with Santa having the experience. So the parents are still having, those heirloom portraits. So it's not a moment lost.
Well, and I love hearing you explain that because we're talking about one, the experience. We've talked about this over and over, but two, you have the joy of these children doing these wonderful things, and then the parents are still getting the ability to see the joy of that and those children going on. And this is not a cut and paste kind of thing. This is very methodically planned out. The way that you do have the parent sit there with the child and go through those exercises, and then Santa doing the same thing, so that you can put together real actions.
Right.
That way, the child isn't fearful of whatever reason that they may be afraid of Santa. It's
Right.
just an incredible way that you've put this together that makes this, as you said, such an amazing experience, which is back to what we've talked about all along, is your photography is clearly a passion for you, and that spirit of making those dreams and those magical thoughts and experiences come through is just incredible. It's just so cool to hear. So I do want to ask you a little bit, before you started doing My Journey Studios, you had another business. So you were doing something else. So this entrepreneurial spirit we're talking about is not a one-time thing for you. You're a little bit of a serial.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Prior to having our studio here, Tom and I started Hilltop Signs and Graphics, which is the business that our son runs now. And he has done so much with that business. It's amazing. But basically, the business started as a way to have extra money for the kids for all of those extracurricular activities. I like to often say beer and pizza money is as well. Just it's fun. But anyway,
Yeah.
we started with a Carlson Craft wedding album. And then we figured out ways to put my photography on different things, from mugs to mouse pads to large format and right down to your vehicles that you see going up and down the roads nowadays with the advertisement and whatnot on them. And once we figured out how to do that, oh, it went crazy from there. And then it got to a point where I wanted to really, really focus more on the photography. And that was the main dream and passion that I had had for so long. And Mike expressed the interest in wanting to take over the company. And again, it was a pivotal point in my life where either you do what you want to do and what your dream and your passion is, or you remain bitter the rest of your life for not following those dreams and taking the steps to do it. And we took a walk on the wild side again, and and just did it. And back any more than I look back from leaving a cushy civil service job at the Naval Air Station, as you know, some people would think. Um, it's hard being a small business owner. You know, you have all the leave that you're able to take and no time to do it because you are working for yourself, and you are more accountable to yourself because you're not going to get that paycheck if you're not putting in the time. And so those are, you know, they're tough lessons, but they're strong ones, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I absolutely love what I do. I'm very lucky and fortunate to be able to follow that dream. And for anyone who's thinking of doing it, you have to know that it's not the easiest thing you'll ever do, but for me, it's been one of the most rewarding ever, aside from raising our children.
Yeah. Oh, I just love it. I love hearing this. And this is exactly the kinds of things we're talking about is like, there's people out there that are either struggling, not because of what's going on right now, but, I mean, in business, because, they need some shift in a mindset. And so having these interviews is good for that. But also people that might be considering making this kind of a move and maybe you're in, I was talking to a lady last week that's in a government job and she said, oh, I so want to do my own business and I'm so struggling. And I'm like, well, here, this is exactly where we get some of these thoughts and ideas and building camaraderie. I mean, that's one way that I know all of the people that we have been interviewing, or at least most of them. Some of them are new to me, but it was exactly that, building camaraderie, because when you are doing something like this by yourself, there's always people that are struggling with the same thing you are, and being able to bounce a similar problem off of somebody else is so helpful. So what I wanted to do in your case is I wanted to tailor a little bit into, here's something else that most entrepreneurs do is they give back. And so they give back in a lot of different ways. Maybe they volunteer on a board, maybe they help with an organization. And right now we're all doing some volunteer based on what's going on. But I wanted to speak specifically to the project that Carol's involved in, because this is very unique. And you guys may have seen me interview Aaron Lewis last week on Friday, but Aaron started this project that Carol's involved in, but Carol has her hands in it. And I really want you guys to hear from this volunteer side, because it's just as important to chase your dream as your business, but also that spirit of helping other people come up where you are. So talk to us a little bit about that project, because it's so pivotal what you're doing. And I know when you explained it to me, I really didn't even have the idea of the growth of where that is. So give us a little background on that, and then what you're doing with it every day or every week.
So there's several different projects that I'm involved in. I think the one that you're specifically talking about is Gals Lead, first of all.
Yes,
Is that true?
that
Okay,
is
so
correct.
Gals Lead is a program within the high schools where facilitators go in. Typically it's once a week. And we have a club is what they consider it. We're there for an hour, and it's Kimberly Bannister and I are the co-facilitators at Chopticon High School. And Kim Summers has been absolutely phenomenal in supporting us. We go in once a week, and we are working with the girls, helping them to discover and figure out who they are, what they want to do. It's the 4 pillars of success, which is know yourself, dream big, overcome obstacles, and take action. And when all of this first started, we were in the overcome obstacles portion of the curriculum. And so, what we've been doing since we haven't been able to physically meet with them is we've sent out Zoom call information so that we can still have the girls, if they're interested, free will, log into the Zoom call, and we are continuing that curriculum online so that they're not missing out. So it's just so important to know that if they need to talk to someone or just work out just some stress issues, if nothing else, that we are still there for them. And it's a great program. It really is. This my second year that I've been a facilitator at Chopticon. I actually started it last year with Jackie Buckler, who owns the hair company in both Charlotte Hall and Leonardtown. And so the two of us started the program last year, and then um, picked it up for a second year this year. So it's a great program. Another program that I'm involved with is Help Portrait, which is where we get a group of volunteers the first weekend in December, and we, other photographers and the volunteers, go to the different locations and we do free portraits. And those free portraits are based on, you find someone that needs their portrait, you take it, you print it, and you give it to them. It's not about your portfolio or your ego or building business or anything like that. It's strictly a give back to the community. You talk about boards. I just came off of the Maryland Professional Photographers Board of Directors. I'm currently on the St. Clements 100 Board of Directors, which we protect and preserve the lighthouse on St. Clements Island. And so I'm a busy lady, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, you certainly are. But I wanted to share some of that stuff because people don't understand what those values are that doing that volunteerism is so part of. And part of the whole circle of being an entrepreneur is that too. And in this particular case, I was thinking Gals Lead, and I forgot at least that I knew about the Clements. But the Gals Lead I love so much because it does exactly what you're doing for a living, sharing that these young ladies how to get through struggles and how to be stronger and how to navigate through all of these muddy waters that they have to go through while they're in that high school level of kind of environment. So let me I have some scripted questions, and usually I try to hit on several of them, but we've just had so much fun talking about all the details and the things that you have going on, which I think was probably so most important because it captured exactly that spirit in your natural environment. But I did want to ask you a couple of things. So when you told us about you, and I've talked about this a couple of times because I think this is a really good question, but I want you to tell us what your superpower is. And when I say superpower, I don't mean like, what are you fantastic at? What do you, do most amazing, more, better than maybe a competitor or anything else? What I really am talking about is, what is it that makes you just so, when you're doing your job, what is it, the one thing that happens, or maybe a couple of things that happen that just makes you tingly all over? You just feel so energized when you get to do this with someone, or, set your hair on fire. You just are like, that was absolutely fantastic. I want to do that every day and all day. What is that?
I love being able to show people the back of the camera after I have photographed them, and them having the expression of, oh my God, that's really me. And for them to see themselves the way that I see them. And for me, people come in and especially my high school seniors, they are here because mom told them they need to be here. And
Mhm.
they're not a big person, and yet they see themselves as being big and or overweight, just like our even adults have the whole body issue
Of
things.
course.
And for me to be able to sit down and just show them their inner beauty and their outer beauty, it's amazing. And I never give up getting that smile from them and that positive approach. And Tom and I, we are just we are simple when it comes to really working with people. I mean, the antics and the craziness that we'll go through to get that genuine natural smile, and just our banter back and forth. People will look at us and just say, you are crazy. And we really just, we don't care. We're having fun. And when we're having fun, they are having fun too. And ultimately, we are getting fantastic portraits of them. And they are seeing exactly who or what they expect themselves to be, but they just don't feel it inside until we
Right.
capture it for them to see firsthand.
Super good. Super. I love that. So tell me, what is the number one most common question that somebody asks you when they're thinking about working with you?
Yeah, that one in particular, a lot of times people, first of all, they're interested in the digitals. Can I get the digitals? And, that's definitely get the digital files. Um, I think what's most important though is that people need to remember that even though you have those digitals, and the digital images is what I'm speaking of, is that they need to be sure to print those photos out. Because even though we're saving things in the cloud regularly, one day the cloud will rain. I mean, look at where we are right now. Did anybody ever expect that this was ever going to happen? No,
Right.
they don't. And just as you don't expect to lose your images or have a hard drive fail or whatever, what have you. So we want to make sure that people are printing those images out. And secondly, people, they will often ask, can you teach me what you do? And the answer is always, well, of course I can. But what you need to remember too is that what I'm doing right now has taken years and years of
Mhm.
training to learn how to do. And although I can shortcut some of the areas of that, we start first with a foundation of basic photography, which is what we teach. And we just build from there. So we're teaching in person and online as well.
Neat. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think I touched on most of the things that I thought there was areas that I definitely wanted to make sure we didn't miss. So give me and I've done this with everybody
Oh, you
because
were
I
breaking.
love you do. So give me, if you're stuck in an elevator with three people, what do you, and you guys, I mean, literally it's not moving and you go around the elevator. What do you do for a living? Cause you can't leave and can't walk away until you say it. Tell us what you say to people, what you do for a living.
What do I say? Well, I say I'm Carol Davis and I have Your Journey Studios. I am a certified professional photographer with the Professional Photographers of America. I'm currently working on my craftsman degree, which is where we go out and we teach classes and we receive a degree from PPA based on that. It's my husband Tom and I that run the studio. He does have a full time job, and he gets home in time for me to be able to utilize his skills in the evening as well. Um, we specialize in high school senior photography, family portraits, business headshots, and of course, the ultimate Santa experience. We're currently scheduling our summer and fall schedule. We're not real sure what the spring is going to bring at this point in time. So even though we're scheduling that time, we're not holding it tight just because of what's going on in the world today. But we are still working and we're still out there. We did start another type of charity work that I think is really important. Right now, I started doing at least one said only essential personnel should really be out because I want to be a leader and lead by example. And what I was doing is called the front step portrait. And so I was going around to different people who are in their homes and doing these portraits. And I decided that once he said only essential people should be out, that I really shouldn't be doing that even though I was a good distance away. And so what I've started is if people make at least a minimum of a $50 donation to a local charity or the First Saints Community Church Food Bank, which is located in Leonardtown, then I in turn will send them a $250 gift certificate that they can use at a later date for either high school portraits or family portraits.
Nice.
And basically that $250 equals the 125 for a session and then 125 worth of product. So as long as they're doing, like I say, that minimum of a $50 donation and contacting me separately, then they're getting $250 worth of credits to our studio. So it's a time when we really all need to come together and help those that really can't help themselves. And since I cannot physically go out and do this, this is something that virtually people can do, and we can still make a difference together.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Carol. That I mean, it pulls your passion together, but also really speaks to your community nature and what your business and your entrepreneurial spirit is all about. So I really appreciate that information, and We're running close on time now, so I really just wanted to wrap up by thanking you so much for your time. I know, and I'm trying to get some people scheduled for interviews, and I know everybody's trying to weave through all of the stuff, especially listening to updates that we're getting from our government officials that we need to hear. But I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us all the experiences that you guys provide and your joy in your business and why you went to it, why you came back to it through your life, and how things actually changed. And if any of you guys want to reach out to Carol, you have questions, you need to speak to her, how can they find you, Carol?
They can find me, first of all, on Facebook. That's probably the fastest way, just because. And that's Your Journey. Oh, I'm sorry. Do a search for Your Journey Studios on Facebook. And then the website is yourjourneystudios.com. There is a contact page there where you can, if you're interested in any of the things that I've talked about, you can send us a direct message through the contact page. And then we have the studio line, which is 301-997-4092. And although I may not pick it up immediately, I will return your call as soon as possible if you use that form of communication.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, good. Everywhere to get you. And if you're watching this or somebody who you think might need to be able to see this, we're going to be posting a link to the video after we save it. It'll probably be up tomorrow, and then Carol can save it on her page so all of her contacts can see it as well. But being live, my more than 6,000 contacts are able to see what we're doing today, and we'll be able to go back and look at the replay. So look for that replay tomorrow. I'm going to be sharing it with Carol sometime tomorrow, and then she'll be posting that up there so you can share it with anybody you'd like. And Carol, thank you again so much for your time. I truly appreciate our friendship, our business relationship, and all of the things you bring to our community. And I'd really appreciate your time and sharing your story with us.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Well, you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. Up next, we have another entrepreneur that I can't wait for you guys to meet. Laura is going to be on live with me in about another 40 minutes. So you guys stay online, keep checking things out, and you guys stay safe, stay in your homes, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye, Carol.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.